Hey there, everybody. I want to talk about lying. I don't really have anything written out. I just figured I'd wing it this time. So forgive me if it's not as structured as usual. Everybody generally accepts that lying is wrong. And really that's because lying is one of the things that we do that hurt each other so much. But we never really, I don't think, as a society or even as individuals, unless you're the type to sit and think about it like I am, understand why it is that lying is wrong. When you're a kid, you're instructed not to lie by your parents and your teachers and general society, and so you just grow up understanding that people won't like you if you lie and that there are negative consequences. And so those are the reasons that we avoid it if we do. And that's part of the reason also that we think if we can get away with it, it's okay. If it doesn't cause any negative consequence, then it's all right. You know, the classic what my wife doesn't know won't hurt her mindset, I think comes from our avoidance of lying based on whether or not there's a negative outcome. But that's not really why lying is wrong. The truth of the matter is, sometimes what you don't know can't hurt you. And if you never know, then you don't ever feel the pain of it. But that's not where we should be looking, really. I think it would be, God, I say a lot. I think it would be good if you watch one of my other videos called The Human Right Part 1, where I have examined where we find the parameters of our right and what really defines the human right and where it comes from. And the basic gist of that is that the human right means autonomy. It means that you have control over your decisions and your actions and your body and your life. Now, of course, we all have the restrictions of society and, you know, lots and lots of restrictions, but when it comes to autonomy, you should have the right to make your decisions based on your own priority structure. And the simplest way I can put it, I guess, is that if you're lied to, the basis on which you're making your decisions is false. And so you really don't have autonomy. If someone tells you a lie and you make decisions based on that as if it were the truth, as if it were reality when it's not, then you're living a different life than you would have. You're living a life decided by someone who has lied to you. And that's why it's wrong to lie to someone, because you're taking their freedom away from them. And so the word manipulation comes to mind, because in telling someone something that you want them to believe as truth so that they will make a decision that you would prefer, manipulation is a horrible, horrible violation of an individual's right to decide for themselves. So don't not lie because it might have a negative consequence down the road. Don't lie because it's a horrible violation of the person that you're lying to. And because you can only expect a the rights that you support. You can't lie to people and expect to be given the truth, because you, by breaching another's right, you no longer have that right. You're living as if the world around you doesn't have that particular rule. And so for you, if you're a liar, you don't deserve the truth. People might ask, well, do you think that there is ever an occasion where it's okay to lie? And the truth is, there is. Because if someone is threatening you, threatening to violate your rights in some way, if you violate their rights in order to prevent them from violating yours, that's just self-defense. The same way if somebody comes at you with a knife and you end up stabbing them to keep them from stabbing you, well, their attempt to violate your right negates their right. So you're okay to stab them to protect yourself. And it's the same thing with any of your rights, really. If someone is attempting to violate you, let's say with lying, I mean, it could be physical, I guess, but, you know, if somebody's trying to violate your right to privacy, or you think if you tell the truth you might put yourself in physical danger, then of course it's okay to lie. When it's not okay to lie is when you're removing someone else's right. So I want to give kind of, I don't know, an off-the-wall, absurd, out-of-the-norm example, just to sort of avoid any preconceived notions. Let's say that a man decides for himself that in his life he doesn't want to be involved in a relationship with a woman who sells books. So he's got this as his decision that he's made for himself. And of course it would be wrong for him to go to a woman who sells books and say, you know, I want to be with you, but I want you to stop selling books. I mean, she might agree, okay, but if he has that, if he meets a woman and she doesn't sell books and he says, you know, I don't want to be with somebody who sells books, and she says, all right, you know, that's square, I can respect that, you make an agreement. Then later on down the road, the woman decides to sell a book. If he never knows about it, is it okay for her to do it? No. Her action in doing something that she knows involves another person that he has set his own prerogative and his own parameter for, the action of her basically forces him into a situation that he didn't want to be involved in. And regardless of whether or not he would find out about it, or whether or not anyone, the reason I use a weird example like that, whether anyone would think that that was valid or not for her, or for him to decide that that's what he wanted in his life. You know, the arguments about that, you know, that doesn't really hurt anybody selling a book, you know, or that if he doesn't know about it, there's no way he can be harmed. He is still, by her action, forced to be involved with someone who sells books. And that's something he had already stated he didn't want to be involved in. So, anyway, I'm just trying to give a weird example. That's all I can really think of. Thanks for watching.